We'll forgive you.
Okay. This is the regular monthly Woodbridge Board of Finance meeting for Thursday, December 18th, 2014. And the first item on our agenda is public comments, and seeing nobody, there are none, but I would like to say something. At last week's Board of Selectmen meeting, a town resident during public comments discussed the sale of a house that was part of the Woodbridge Country Club property. And he used the term backroom deals, and the insinuation was that there was a house sold for roughly $200,000 that the town never received the money, and backroom deal, he repeated that term 3 times, which resulted in 2 people questioning about this. I mean, it's no secret that I was deeply involved in the process of acquiring the country club. And quite frankly, I was offended by his remarks and the insinuation, which we've heard that before. What happened was, when we bought the country club, if you remember, we went to town meeting. Absolutely. And it was approved for $6.9 million. And once that occurred, we went through the process of going to closing. Our town attorney at the time, Jim Perito, tremendous attorney, and the country club's town attorney prepared the documents and did a title search. And when they did a title search, they realized that there was a one-family house, which was the house, I believe, that was used by the groundskeeper. And it was never considered part of what we were buying. We never considered it part of the country club property. They were more surprised because they thought it was under a separate deed. And I guess the deed kind of incorporated this into the country club property. And so when this occurred, we were kind of at a stalemate as to how do we handle this. Well, the country club people made it perfectly clear, this is not going with this property. It was never considered part of the country club property. We're intending to sell it and use that money to pay off our debt.
Right.
And it was agreed amongst all the parties and all the lawyers and everybody involved that what's fair is fair. We didn't anticipate it being part of the property. And the country club certainly wasn't going to close if we didn't. So legally, however it was accomplished, they got to sell the property. They would have given it to us if we were willing to pay them for it. We wanted no part of it. So they got to sell this house for $200,000 and use that money to pay their debts. So that's what happened. That's my recollection. I think I went through it with Tony, and Tony remembers the same thing. And so that's what happened. So the point is, though, all this gentleman had to do was call town hall. I think Ellen's been very approachable. Tony's approachable. Anybody's approachable. To get up there and start using the term backroom deals is very offensive to me. Because I've been doing this now for 20. I've never seen anything remotely illegal about anything this town has ever done. It's certainly not that. I mean, where did he think this money went? To my pockets or Ed Sheehy's pockets, may he rest in peace? So it was quite offensive to me. And then I had 2 people question me about it, which bothered me even more because, again, people knew I was involved. So I just wanted to bring that up. It kind of was left out there the night of your meeting because I don't think anybody really knew what happened. Right. You weren't there at the time. I don't think anybody on the Board of Selectmen were there at the time. And I'm sure it raised a lot of questions. It's very sad that, this is the way people in this town, a very small percentage of people, approach a question. They want to make news out of it, and they bring it forward in a setting like that, and it leaves people with a, wow, what did this guy uncover? We didn't uncover anything. It was, quite frankly, the lawyers and everybody agreed on it, and it was done absolutely correctly. There was nothing illegal about anything. So that's the story. If anybody ever questions anybody, that's what happened. And there was nothing. I watch these meetings. Unfortunately, a very small percentage of people in this town choose to bring up all kinds of negative stuff. A very small percentage of people in this town. And just watch a Board of Selectmen being. I give Ellen a lot of credit because she keeps her cool. She conducts herself. I don't think I could do it because it's just one attack after another over minor details. So I didn't even know if you knew that story. I'm sure you didn't.
Only after it was brought up at the Board of Selectmen meeting, we looked into it to see what the story was, and.
But I'm sure as the story was unfolding, you were saying to yourself, can't be.
Of course,
Can't be.
of course. Plus, there's a presumption on my part that everything was done correctly, as opposed to approaching it the opposite way.
Right. So.
No, I remember the discussion about that house. Absolutely.
Oh, you
piece
do?
of property.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, it was very public. There was nothing that was kept in
It
private.
wasn't a backroom deal, right?
It was not a backroom deal, not at all.
You were on the Board of Selectmen.
I was on the Board of
Oh, that's
Selectmen.
right, yeah, you were on the board of selectmen at the time.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, it was a shock, when they did the title search, they said, uh-oh, because the country club thought it was a separate deed for the house. And when they found out that it wasn't, that's when negotiations started.
Right.
You know, the town basically said, look, we
don't want this not to go
Right.
through because of this.
and we didn't anticipate
Right.
getting this house. That would have been a,
Yep.
you know, so, just for anybody listening out there and for all the people here, that's what happened.
Thank you, Mayor.
No problem. Okay, Administrative Officer, Director of Finance report, Tony.
The, through November of 2014 is a budgetary surplus of about $70,000. The, most of that is in expenditures. The two departments in particular, Waste Management has a slight deficit of $18,000 in tipping fees, but we anticipate a $38,000 recycling surplus to compensate for that. Employee Benefits also has a surplus due to surplus in retiree health care of about $68,000. That'll offset a few deficits in workers' comp and in heart and hypertension. But we anticipate a surplus in employee benefits also. I do want to bring up one thing that has happened just as of recent, and that there are some expenditures at the country club. Primarily one of the pumps. As we discussed in the budget process, one of the irrigation pumps had failed. Additionally, one of the pumps at the pump station on Fountain Street has also failed.
Okay.
So now we have one pump there instead of two. There are two there because that pump station serves the water for the entire property, including the irrigation, but also the fire suppression system for the facility. So what we intend to do is we're evaluating the situation. So there's still one that's up, but we should have two there in case one fails. There's always a pump there. We're trying to rebuild the existing pump to try to repair the parts that are damaged, so that we can get it up and running. So there'll be some expenses there.
This is a different pump than we heard from.
Yeah, that was the irrigation pump.
Because we had talked about doing that this year as opposed to
Yeah.
waiting until July.
That was an irrigation pump that serves the irrigation system.
$23,000.
Right, that's by the pond, an irrigation pump. This is one of the main pumps at the pump station on Fountain Street. So there's that, and there's some, the electricity is probably going to be a little over budget this year. I think our budget was too low. So there'll be some expenditures, possibly some transfers for the country club coming up in the next month or so.
That's it?
Yep,
Okay, so things are okay.
yep.
Good. Status of the audit?
We just received the final audit. It's complete. And we have we're anticipating probably on Monday, sending it up to the state, and we should be finished.
Good.
So we'll have the auditor out in January to present it to you.
Okay. One of our budget meetings? Or-
Yeah, one of the budget meetings so both boards can hear the presentation.
Great.
And Woodbridge Board of Ed financial report, I'm sure Sandy will talk about this, but it looks like there's a $34,000 surplus. That's good. Anything else, Tony?
No, that's it.
That's it. Funding requests, we have a couple, and they are line item transfers. Nothing terribly exciting. The first is line item transfer 1415-06. And it has to do with connecting to the Nutmeg Network, Connecticut Education Network. And it's $13,720, capital non-recurring. I'll move acceptance of line item transfer 1415-06 in the amount of $13,720.
Second.
Tony, just give us a little, what is
Sure.
the Nutmeg Network?
The Nutmeg Network is the state's information superhighway. That's a fiber connection that we have at the police department as a result of the 911 system. So what we are going to do is purchase equipment to be able to essentially use that same fiber to connect to the Nutmeg Network, which provides two things. First of all, it provides redundancy in our internet connection, which we're highly reliant on now for our financials for our financials, for communication, so it would provide us with a redundancy for internet. But in addition, it allows for greater sharing of some regional resources, municipal collaboration. I know the state is looking to put a lot more of their regional sharing on that Nutmeg network, including possibly some phone IP, and programming and some other things that we can access. So it's sort of a first step in a greater regional cooperation. And we thought we were going to get a grant for the entire amount, but it turned out we received $6,000 because we didn't have to connect fiber to our site, which a lot of towns have to, which is very expensive. We just happen to be fortunate that the fiber from the Nutmeg network, which is also shared by the 911 system, and our town fiber loop, which provides our network for our town, are in the same room. So they just have to sort of connect the two fibers together. So
Okay.
that's what that's for.
And that costs $90,000.
Okay, any other questions on this, or any questions on this? None? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Next is again, a line item transfer, and it's to transfer the funds. I guess they sold a police car, used police car, and it's to get the money into the, we're getting it into the, let's see, capital non-recurring, oh no, actually from,
For their budget.
for their budget.
Yeah.
Well, they use that money to offset the cost of
Correct.
new vehicles. So
Right.
I'll move acceptance of line item transfer 1415-07 in the amount of $1312.50.
Second.
Any discussion on that one? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Speaking of grants, you mentioned grants. I don't know if any of you saw in the newspaper what's going on in Bethany.
Yes.
I guess the town treasurer reported a theft, which she thought was a theft of $200,000, and the state police got involved, and all these agencies took it. This has been going on for a while. We didn't know about it. As it turns out, it was just a steep grant that they moved the money. They moved the money in and out of the various accounts.
And
there
the
was,
treasurer was aware of it.
yeah, and the treasurer was aware of it. And again, I mean, this gotcha mentality. So now all Bethany steep grants have been frozen. They can't get any. It's a mess. And aside from utilizing all these state police and investigative things, and it was nothing more than they're saying it was like a political thing. And it's messed up. So again, it's not only us that gets these crazy claims. Okay, funding requests are done. Make sure I sign them both. Okay, approval minutes. We have before us the minutes of our last meeting on Thursday, November 20th, 2014, and I will move acceptance of the minutes of that meeting as presented. Any discussion, adjustments, etc.? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Okay. Karen's got something in here for us to amend our meeting dates. We're changing what, January?
January.
2016. Is on the 21st. Okay. All right, so I'll make a motion that we acknowledge and accept the meeting dates as corrected for 2015.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. For Selectmen's report, Ellen.
Thank you. Well, it's been another busy month, and, you know, one of the things that's a little tricky, I do the first Selectmen's report at the Board of Selectmen, and then there's that in-between time. I don't know if I should tell you the same report or just the report. I think the last time I was here, we had already had the early bird solar workshop, which was very successful. We had about 100 people, and many people are following up and getting the home assessments. We have a new business in town, White Knight Dental Implants, which I toured with Betsy Yagla. And the most interesting thing about it is they do implants and bridges, and they print them out on a 3D.
They do the Merritt Avenue Bridge
They do-
thing?
That would be
Well,
great.
that would be something. But they use a 3D printer to make the items, which was incredible. The senior center had 2 wonderful lunches. The Thanksgiving lunch was sponsored by the police union, and the holiday party sponsored by Rotary. They were extremely well attended, Thanksgiving in particular. There were so many people there. And there's a terrific staff in the kitchen, Elaine Marcuccio and Trish DeBudo, and they do a fabulous job, and the seniors loved it. It was great. We've also been having some meetings, Tony's been part of this, to look at using funding from the Small Cities Grant, funding that comes back to the town for possibly installing a restroom at the senior center, which would be wonderful so that people don't have to go upstairs, and we're exploring all the different aspects of that to see if it's possible. I attended the Beecher Road School Book Fair, and that was terrific. Well, everything at Beecher Road School seems to be great. The kids were there with their, buying books on their own and with parents. It was a very nice event. I continue my monthly meetings with Mayor Harp, which has been very helpful and led to the meeting this week where DOT presented their new and scaled-down plan for the traffic areas around exit 59 from Route 15. That's not to say that they're not continuing with the bigger plan, but rather than wait the many, many years that the big plan will take, they do have a modified proposal. And it's up on our website now. DOT is accepting comments at this time for the next 10 days. And they asked if anyone has comments, take a look at the plan and send them to our office here, and we'll forward them to DOT. So I think that will provide some relief in what in DOT time is immediate, and that's like up to 4 years, but a lot better than what they were talking about initially. I attended the holiday reception at the Darling House, another wonderful event that the Historic Society put together. The Ordinance Committee met. We're still looking at an issue with respect to the Code of Ethics, which came up some time ago, and also whether we want to just make some overall changes to our Code of Ethics. We're looking at what other towns do and see if there's some changes we want to make. And we're also looking at the issue of the use of the town seal or a facsimile of the seal. It appears that some private entities are using our seal, and it makes it look as if it's somehow official from the town. And other towns have some specific ordinances about it, so we're taking a look at that. We have monthly meetings with Dr. Stella and Al Pulo. We're continuing with that, and Matt's going to join us at those going forward. There were 2 scouting events that I attended. The very young Girl Scouts, the Daisies, prepared holiday baskets for the Woodbridge Food and Fuel Fund, as did Cub Scout Pack 902. So it was always nice to see the kids and accept that on behalf of the town for the Food and Fuel Fund. And let's see, I guess the other 2 things I would just mention is that tomorrow is the holiday luncheon for town employees, and on Monday evening is the reception for boards and commissions. We hope you'll all attend so we can thank you for your volunteer service and wonderful work for the town. So, thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Okay, liaison reports. I attended the AMBI meeting a week ago Monday. Nothing earth-shattering. They're running a surplus of $84,000 in their budget, and their health insurance reserve account continues to be a significant surplus. They're up to $250,000, and the results of which, they, as you remember, I tried to convince them to return some money to the towns, which they didn't do. Well, now they've unleashed Orange on them, and this Jim Leahy, who has been all over this surplus issue for years, is at every meeting reminding them that he's watching the surplus and that they better. I mean, he gave them his recommendations as to what he expects to happen with the surplus. So if they had just listened to me, they might have avoided a lot of problems. But they can deal with it. I've dealt with it enough. And they also their audit is complete. We had the auditors there at our December meeting, and they got a clean, unqualified report, which is a good thing. And I think as long as Jack Levine is there, we'll continue to get clean reports. He's really a top-notch finance guy, and so everything's going fine. No issues raised about any operational matters, and things are going well. So, Karen?
Well, I'll echo some of Ellen's comments about the the human services, there was 117 people I'm getting to know these now, at the Thanksgiving.
Wow.
And fun was had by all. At 28 households received food baskets, and the Boy Scout troops sponsored a food drive to replenish the pantry. So that was very nice. I reported on the concern about evacuation at the center, and Tony's probably involved in that too, but the ramps were not working out, but they are looking into some safety chairs that might help. They're looking to perhaps purchase 2 of them, and the fire marshal is working with them. Those chairs are just over $1,000 each. They're going to see if logistically those could work out. Is that your record? Yeah, I think that it looked like a good option. The seniors did very well at the holiday fair also. That was well attended, and they raised over $4,000, so they did.
Wow,
That's really great. And youth services, they continue to run the after-school programs. They had a volleyball tournament, which the proceeds benefited a family whose son was in a recent accident. So that was very nice. And they're having, actually, I think it's coming up, an ugly sweater party night in January. And that's about it.
Any prizes or?
I'm assuming there's usually a lot of prizes and food.
Thank you. Andrew?
I was at the Board of Selectmen meeting.
That's right.
The chief was with me, so there was no meeting that night.
Okay.
Meeting
David,
was
anything?
kind of canceled.
No, I couldn't make the conference.
Sandy?
Okay, Monday, December 8th, was the Library Commission, and we went over their budget for this coming year, their
We
proposal.
received it.
Good.
It was the first one, right? Was that the first one? Second one.
And I will say Lynn's doing a terrific job. She's really hanging in there, which is
agree.
great. Sorry, it's my...
Sound line.
Sorry about that. But there is an increase of about $20,000 in their budget. And part of that is due to the fact that the Friends of the Library's contributions have been declining over the past few years, and they don't anticipate that those will pick up. The Friends of the Library is really kind of struggling as an organization, and there's just not enough membership activities, and they're still doing the bookstore and some other activities, but they're basically asking for the town to actually make up the difference in terms of the contributions that they count on to run their programs. So you'll hear more about that, at the budget presentation.
Can I just interrupt?
Yes.
Speaking of the library, I
Yes.
forgot to mention the library Long Wharf program that happened this month. Some of us were there. It was just terrific. There was a 3-part collaboration where they had the artistic director and actors doing a play at Long Wharf. We had them here at the center gym, and we had about 85 people, Woodbridge residents, to participate and watch that, which was great. And then there was a book talk at the library, and then Woodbridge night at Long Wharf at the play, and we had about 45 people there with a reception, and it was just, the play was terrific, and people enjoyed it, and it was a very nice community event for us. I'm sorry to interrupt, Sandy, but I forgot to mention
I
that.
think the library's done a terrific job in terms of
Terrific.
expanding their whole ability to create more diversity in terms of their public events and really drawing different groups of people in together. And that's another
Very
great
impressive,
example.
absolutely.
Another great
Where are they
example.
at with a new director?
So, luckily, because last month it wasn't so good.
That's right.
But they actually had a second round of job applicants. They
Right.
replaced the ad, and they had 4 very good candidates that they were interested in interviewing. They were in the process of doing reference checks for them, and there may be some more progress that you know about, Tony, since then.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. They're doing
Okay.
reference checks. There's 4 candidates who are very interested in it. They plan to start the process of interviewing.
And I believe 3 out of the 4 are in Connecticut already.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
And so it's, you have to wait for the right person. I think that's kind of the message.
And we're in good hands till then.
Yes, we
Yes.
are in very good
Yeah,
hands.
doing a great job.
Lynn is really doing a terrific job and really staying on top of everything. And then I also attended the Woodbridge Board of Ed Finance Committee. And as Matt reported, they have a surplus of 34.8. That's what they're projecting for the end of the year right now. And that has to do with utility savings of about 40,000 savings from Wintergreen, because we don't really have any students in that program, but yet it was budgeted for. But we do have increased special education costs and some increase in custodial costs related to the project, the building project. The custodial staff has to be there on the weekends, and there's more cleanup to do, and they have to keep the building open. And they did have to hire one additional paraprofessional for the additional kindergarten class. We also did go over their proposed budget, and they are anticipating 20 additional children for next year, but no increase in staff, which is nice. They will be able to kind of move classrooms around. They do not feel that they'll have any retirements that they can count on for this year, although Dr. Stella did point out that over the past 5 years, they've actually saved about $1 million in terms of retirement options that teachers have selected. This is the last year of the current teacher contract, so we have to be aware of that and whatever implications come along with negotiations for a new contract. The proposal right now is 3.82%. This is before it actually went to the board itself. And some of that has to do with maintenance related to the new systems that they'll have in place, website, the internship program that they have right now with University of New Haven. They're actually thinking of phasing that out. The University of New Haven is, and that was actually just a great relationship with them. So they'll be looking for alternatives, but in the short term, that may cost some additional money. And then they plan on insurance will probably go up. But Dr. Stella does a great presentation, and he will explain more of that in detail.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? No? Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah.
Happy holidays.
They got too many lights lit on that menorah over there, you know. I'm not that up on it, but aren't you supposed to light it one every night?
Yes.
There's like 4 of them lit. It's the second night, right?
Tuesday, no,
Oh.
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
It should
And
be
one is,
three.
and one is the
Uh-huh.
light that you
One
light
is
them
the
with.
I don't know,
is-
okay, all right, then I'm sure whoever's doing, they must have, they should know.
Of course, somebody told me that there's a complaint every year that they're being lit in the wrong, from the wrong, but it's a